welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Baltimore-based jazz pianist Joshua Espinoza. So, acclaimed vibraphonist Warren Wolf offers audiences a great dose of music through this quarantine period through his Livestream series. For his second show in the series, he will perform a concert of standards with Mr. Joshua Espinoza on Friday, April 17th at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. They will broadcast these intimate live streams via YouTube from the stage at a wonderful club in Baltimore. Tickets and access to the live stream link can be purchased at www.andymusicwithak.live.com, and donations will be accepted. So listen to Josh talk about the show and many other topics surrounding our new world and the new world of jazz.
What's it like out there where you guys are?
Well,
Everything
it's like,
closed down and
yeah, we're on lockdown, and, it's like we're waiting for the tsunami of stats and then hoping that the curve gets beaten down. It's just this big, unknown uncertainty waiting game, and then in between all of it, everybody has this romanticism with March 12th,
Oh, so, sure.
Oh, man. So it's bizarre, but I guess it's just about being hopeful. And that's one of the reasons why I'm reaching out to you and other musicians. When this started, it was just like, wow, it was a shock. And then I thought, what a unique time in our human history to have an open dialogue about what's going on and who we are and what can be good and different and how things can change when we come back. Just the whole myriad of things,
Yeah, absolutely.
So where exactly are you at?
I'm in Baltimore.
Okay. How's everything there?
Probably about the same as it is there. I mean, most things are closed down, everything except for grocery stores and essential places like that. Which is, I live right downtown, in the city. So it's very unusual to not see people coming and going to work, and there's no such thing as rush hour anymore. And we'll take a walk, down to sort of the business part of the city, and, all the bars and restaurants are closed, and nobody's out really walking around enjoying it, even though the weather's so nice. So it's just kind of surreal.
It is. It's like a novel, and we never thought in our lifetimes, this just seems like a movie that we watch, There's some, futuristic version of reality, and the thing that's crazy about this is talking to people from around the world that it's everywhere. I mean, it's all over the globe. We're all experiencing the same thing together.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating?
Wow.
When have we been unified in that particular way ever? Too bad. It's too bad that it's under these circumstances, but we're all sort of going through the same trauma.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and talking about music, I think is going to be a good antidote. So thank you for, reaching out. Playing with Warren Wolf is going to have to be a joy. So give me an idea of kind of how this union came about and when the show is and kind of some of those particulars.
Yeah, sure. So Warren and I have played a handful of times together. He also lives in Baltimore, so we sort of met through, the circles of jazz musicians and jam sessions and things like that. And, I've had the privilege of playing with his band once or twice before, which, for me is just a real joy and pleasure. It's not often somebody like him, with his stature and his experience and everything that I get to play with. So when he called me about playing this duo gig with him on Friday, I was like, absolutely. I mean, all of my gigs have been completely postponed or outright canceled, and so this was just, kind of an exciting prospect to, in the midst of all of this, be able to play some really nice music with one of the best, vibraphone players out there.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So we're going to be playing duo, just a short set, an hour, between 7 and 8 p.m. At Andy Music, which is one of our sort of listening rooms here in Baltimore, one of the East Coast's, most beloved listening spaces. And I think this might be their 6th live stream that they've done since the COVID, pandemic started. So they'll, people will buy tickets online, tickets in quotation marks, because what people will get is a link to a YouTube live stream, a private YouTube live stream that they'll access then after having purchased the ticket. And then, of course, it'll be live from 7 to 8, but then those who purchase a ticket can also go back and listen, I think, until the 30th of April, so about a week or so, that it will still be up there live for people to go back and take a look.
Where's this at again?
It's at Andi Musik, which is one of Baltimore's listening rooms.
Cool. My question to you is this now. We all understand the music has been silenced. There's been alternatives, and I don't know that we knew the extent of this until this kind of stretched on into almost a month. But my question is that when we do actually get back into a live capacity, what revelations or what realizations do you hope both musician and audience member get from this time away that will be revelatory when we all get back?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I mean, I think for me and for a lot of folks who really love performing live for an audience, I think we'll probably go back and will not take it for granted. I mean, not that I ever take it for granted, and most people I don't think do, but those who perform often, I think, might get into like the swing of things that, maybe it's just another gig, or maybe it's, this gig feels a little more exciting than this gig, but I think after this, like, we've really put in sharp relief just how important it is to play music for people. So I think, at least for me, when things start getting back to normal, I don't think I would ever complain about a gig ever again. Even like a sort of a background music gig that some of us still, play, that just being able to make music for other people is such an exciting thing, and something that, of course, now we simply just can't take for granted. I think that audiences, those out there who are used to hearing live music, I think, don't underestimate the power of hearing music performed live in front of you with acoustic instruments and things like that. Our society is so accustomed to hearing recorded music now that I think there are a lot of folks out there who maybe don't go to live shows as often as I think they should, because I think there's something really special about hearing humans making music together in a space, that I hope that after this is over, more people will go out and seek live music experiences rather than simply, sitting at home and listening to Spotify, or listening to their YouTube playlist, or listening to a CD even. I'm hoping that folks will start to realize just how important it is to like commune with others and experience the joy of hearing and seeing musicians play together in the moment,
I think the thing that's interesting about this whole time period, too, is that, we all dabble in the arts, but now we're really relying on it. There's almost a monopoly with visual and TV and film and music. I think there's going to be a part of this that people are just going to inevitably have to realize that art, at the end of the day, really will save you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're definitely seeing that. I think people are flocking to these live stream ideas. Some of my very favorite musicians, too, have performed, even just, and from their living room, live streams. Like Cecile McLaurin-Salvant and Sullivan Fortner gave a beautiful Facebook Live concert, I think in the first week that all this happened. I know Fred Hirsch is doing some daily streams from his home, and Larry Goldings is doing something similar once in a while. And so it's nice to see that in the midst of all this, musicians are still desperate to make music, of course, and I think the listeners are also desperate to see and hear from their favorite artists, and it honestly gives a bit of a more intimate setting, to hear somebody alone in their living room, instead of maybe being surrounded by a bunch of people. So, it's a fascinating time, and I don't think anybody ever would have predicted that we'd be where we are right now.
You know, the one thing that's interesting, I asked this question, and I've been really kind of going overboard with interviews. I think it's very essential, and I think this is a very unique time to do it. And I did get an answer from a young musician that has a debut album coming out, and he had said that he might be a time for jazz to have a reboot or a birth of a new idiom or a genre. Like, you know, when bebop came around, it was on the cusp of a very birth of a new sound or a new way. What do you think about that?
Oh, well, that's fascinating. You kind of broke up a little bit, but I think I got the gist of it. You were saying that, like, bebop came out of the sort of trauma of World War II, or World War I, and all the things happening in the 30s, the Great Depression, all that stuff. And that now this could potentially be another such traumatic experience that all art, you know, may experience a sort of renaissance or something.
Yeah,
I think that's a really fascinating idea. I haven't really thought about it. I'm not sure, honestly. I mean, there's so many streams of jazz, you know, in quotation marks out there now, that perhaps this does give maybe evens the playing field a little bit for those out there who are doing something off the beaten path. I do find that, like, presenting organizations and, you know, media organizations tend to push, you know, a particular type or several different types of jazz, sometimes at the detriment of other streams of the music. So I don't know, perhaps this is an opportunity now, since everybody is going online and streaming from their own devices, from their own homes, that sort of evens the playing field, and perhaps then, you know, some other types of art forms, whether it's jazz or whether it's visual art or anything, have a chance to maybe break out above the fray, so to speak. But that's a great question. I'll have to think more about that. I haven't really thought about it like that in those terms.
Yeah, I had neither, and it was brilliant. There were so many levels of realization that I've heard from musicians about this, or the hope that happens out of this, that was like, wow, that took it to a whole other place. So
seriously,
yeah, it was fascinating. But hey, man, thanks again for reaching out. Thank you for this moment to speak with you. It's an extraordinary period in human history that I don't know that we'll ever see again. So thank you for taking a minute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your advocacy for the music.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Baltimore, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Joshua for his time and dedication to jazz. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.